Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is a foundation Friday and I'm gonna do Colourpop no filter foundation sticks. And I'm sorry if this is a voiceover because I'm currently busy with the renovating my home and everything is so noisy, and this is just the best way to do it. So here's the packaging. It comes with a white tube and you open it and you kind of roll it. It has like 9.5 grams net, so I think that's quite enough, especially if this is so affordable. And this is the swatches. I'm using medium 85C. I think that's the best match with my medium skin. So this is my skin before. I have redness on my cheek, and I also have hyperpigmentation on my forehead and my cheek contour. So this foundation claim is covers blemishes, blurs pores, medium buildable coverage. So we are going to try that out with two kind of ways application. First is using the brush. I am using an angled buffing brush and I'm not in a swirling motion. It's more like buffing motion. So I'm pressing the foundation inside my skin, and previously I also apply my moisturizer and primer, so you don't have to worry about it. And this is the result on my skin. This is the first layer. I'm using this the first layer. It is very light, and you can see that the medium coverage doesn't cover my hyperpigmentation on my contour cheek and my under eye, but I don't mind because I actually prefer the light coverage. Anyway, previously I've tried and I've reviewed Colourpop no filter foundation liquid, the liquid one, the different one, and it's quite surprising because I was kind of disappointed with that product because it looks so cakey on my skin compared to this one. I have oily skin, by the way. Compared to this one looks better on my skin, which is weird because usually liquid foundation are best on my skin. So here you can see how it looks like on my skin, but honestly on the mirror when I apply it using brush, I still feel like it looks like I'm wearing makeup, like it's a bit cakey on me when I apply it using brush. So the other side, I'm gonna put the same amount and using a sponge. This is a Real Technique sponge and this is not damp. This is the dry one. I don't even know why I'm using the dry one. But previously I've tried using a damp sponge and it was great. It's looking good. So this time I'm trying out using the dry sponge and it blends amazingly. So a hint for you, when you apply using sponge, the sponge cannot take away the product. So if you want more coverage, you need to apply a bit more. So you can see this is the medium coverage and it's still not covering my hyperpigmentation on my cheek contour, but I don't mind at all about that because I prefer light coverage foundation, not the full face, the cakey face one. So I'm okay with that. But if you prefer something full coverage, something more fuller, like cakier, then you can apply this a bit more. So here's the result. You can see it blends smoother than the brush one. That's what I see in the mirror. I prefer to apply this using sponge instead of brush because it looks better on the sponge side. So here I'm adding another layer with the same amount as previous layer, and I'm still using the same brush and with the same motion, which is buffing motion. And anyway, this is not my first time trying out this foundation. I have tested this foundation before. I tried this before and it looks great, I think. I kind of like it better than the liquid one. But this one looks blends well, it looks flawless on my oily skin, and it wears off amazingly. Here I'm adding another layer on my forehead, and to be honest, when I apply another layer and applying using brush, it feels a bit cakey on my face. So if you prefer something full coverage and something better coverage, then I recommend you to add 2 layers, and it also cover up my hyperpigmentation better than before. And I'm also adding the same amount of foundation on my other side, and I apply it using the same sponge, and then let's see the result. Well, what I like about this foundation is that it's still making my skin looking glowy, not really like cakey, especially if after you wear it like whole day. I live in a tropical country which is super hot, and wearing foundation every day is just gonna make my skin sometimes too oily and too ugly, and I don't like it. But this one wears off amazingly. It's a bit shiny, but it's not like super cakey. So I prefer something like coverage and not really too much on my skin, which is why sometimes you can see me wearing super like coverage. So this is the result of the foundation application using sponge. It gives better coverage than before. So if you love something more full coverage, then I recommend you use the 2 layers because it still looks better. But again, I prefer like coverage and using sponge to apply this foundation. And this is the swipe test. I put on my fingers on the brush area, and it shows a marks on the side, and on the other side I also do a swipe test, and it also give mark my fingers on my cheek, but it's not too obvious like the other side, the brush side. So I think if you want to use this foundation, you better set it quickly. And you can also see that it covers hyperpigmentation better on my skin. Anyway, those patches around my mouth is not because of the foundation application. It was because my skin was so dry and it making my foundation looking bad. So it's not completely because of the foundation, I guess. I think I need to blend it more. Anyway, so this is the result. You can see it literally doesn't need any filter because it looks amazing on the camera. So thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys on my next one. Bye.